A lifelong journey of intense drilling and brutal discipline creates the most feared warrior of the ancient Greek world. Master of the spear and shield, the Spartan is bound by law and honor to defend his homeland and bring glory to Sparta. Sparta's growth into a military superpower demands an elite warrior. He must endure brutal training from childhood, master the use of his bladed weapons and iconic shield, and overwhelm all enemies with the most precise and lethal tactics of his day. It is a path that begins in the 9th century.
The Spartan city-state begins in early archaic period of Greek history.
If you look at a map of Greece, you'll see to the southwest, there's a very large peninsula. It looks like a big tooth with 3 points pointing south. Towards the bottom of that is the city of Sparta.
Ancient Greece is a world of seafarers, but Sparta is constrained by land.
During the archaic period, Sparta grows in power, and the Spartans are conquering and taking control of the southern Peloponnese.
As its territory expands, Sparta covets the rich farmland of Messenia, its neighbor to the west.
Messenia had a lot of flat plains. Flat plains means good farmland.
And the Spartans decide to conquer Messenia. It's a very hard war. It lasts 20 years. And when they defeat the Messenians, most of the Messenians are turned into national slaves called helots.
The helot slaves work the land for their Spartan masters, but often revolt.
The helot slaves may outnumber the Spartan citizens by a count of 7 to 1. And if the slave population rebels, the Spartan state goes into crisis.
Constant slave revolts threaten to destroy Sparta, but King Lycurgus creates a new code of laws and remakes Sparta as a militarized state.
Lycurgus, he is the originator of what the Spartans considered their constitution.
Lycurgus went to the Delphic Oracle, which is the most sacred religious center in the Greek world. And there is a priestess there who prophesies, and he gets the approval of the oracle for his laws. With that sort of endorsement, it makes it much easier for Lycurgus to get these vast reforms that completely remake Spartan society accepted by the Spartans.
The first duty of these new citizen warriors is to crush slave revolts.
When you have a much larger population enslaved, your primary goal, keep the slaves enslaved.
And that slave population, the helots, takes on all of the agricultural work, all of the domestic work. Now, the Spartans, they have this free time to do nothing but train for war.
At that point, Sparta becomes a very unusual Greek state. No other Greek state had a standing army.
And many armies in history, their primary job is to be a farmer or a carpenter, and they are called to military service as and when needed. When we look at the Spartan, his entire job is to be a professional soldier, and his entire culture and the government is set up to support that institution.
And that gives the Spartans a tremendous military advantage.
At its core, the new law has a singular purpose: to create the greatest warriors in all of Greece.
The great king of Persia, Xerxes, has decided that the Persians are going to add Greece to the long list of conquests of the Persian Empire.
And Xerxes comes to Greece with an enormous army.
The The Spartan warrior is enlisted to join 300 of his fellow Spartans to lead a coalition against the Persian army.
The Greeks have decided that the best place to stop them is at this narrow pass in central Greece called Thermopylae. The Spartan legend is formed at Thermopylae because it's at Thermopylae that the Spartans demonstrate the greatest courage.
In charge of this is one of the two kings of Sparta, Leonidas. He is in charge of about 7,000 Greek hoplites.
The Persians arrive with a larger army than the Greeks have ever seen, hundreds of thousands.
Xerxes' goal is simple: punch through and get his men moving as quickly as possible. Leonidas and the Greeks' goal is also simple: hold the Persians in place. Why? That big of an army is extremely vulnerable because armies don't carry that much food with them. Leonidas' plan is to hold and starve them.
At Thermopylae, the mountains come down almost to the sea. And so there's this very narrow stretch where a small force can plug up the gap.
Despite being outnumbered more than 20 to 1, the Spartans prepare for battle.
The traditional Persian way of softening up infantry is a rain of arrows.
One Spartan warrior at Thermopylae, when being told that Persians will shoot arrows in great numbers, so many arrows that the sun will be blocked, one Spartan warrior supposedly laughs and says, "Well, then we'll fight in the shade."
The Persians are just carpeting the ground with arrowheads. Now, if you're lightly armored, that's a death sentence. But the Spartans aren't. They have heavy wooden shields, bronze helmets, bronze body armor, bronze greaves. You turtle up under all of that, you sit there through hours all day.
The Spartans fend off the enemy arrows and brace for the inevitable attack on foot.
Historian Herodotus describes the Persians sending wave after wave of soldiers against the Spartan troops.
Persian infantry are traditionally lighter armored. So when the lighter armored infantry crashes into a Spartan phalanx, it can't dislodge them.
The Spartans, fighting in their hoplite phalanx, are able to hold the line and execute maneuvers that trick the Persians and magnify the slaughter. For the final phase of the battle, Leonidas and the Spartans cause great slaughter among the Persians. They fight until their spears break.
Shields are broken, swords break, and at the end, the Greeks are reduced to fighting with nothing but nail and tooth and kick.
Leonidas does not give up. He doesn't surrender. And he's cut down. And the Persians, seeing that the Greeks are outnumbered, their leader dead, they stand back and they shoot them down from a distance.
For the Spartans, the real truth of the matter is that Thermopylae was a catastrophic loss. And what Sparta and what the other Greeks have to do is turn a military defeat into a PR victory.
The heroic story of Thermopylae becomes a rallying cry across Greece, and a new group of Spartan warriors once again leads an alliance against the Persian occupiers.
Next year, at the Battle of Plataea, the Persians still have a superior force, and terrifically hard infantry battle ensues. And once again, the Spartans prove to be the heroes at this battle, not because of a heroic death like at Thermopylae, but because of their skill at arms. And once they kill the Persian commander, the rest of the Persian forces fall apart, and the Greeks are able to win the battle.
And that is the last time the Persians came to Greece.